Welcome, Mr. Erdem. Welcome to our show.
Thank
It's a very great pleasure to have you here. Let's start with a short question, actually, at the beginning, to introduce your company, Zeren Group.
Yeah, sure. Zeren Group is this year it's a 50-year-old company now. It's been founded in 1973 in Mersin, and their first activity, the first industry, let's say, was in finance sector, in audit and accounting fields, and was founded by Rıdvan Zeren, the first generation of the company. And throughout the experience they collected within this audit and financial accounting industries, they realized some extra investments whenever the opportunity presented itself. So you can think of it like when you have the data of what is actually successful in your country, you can make a more informed decision. They use this opportunity, this advantage, to invest in various sectors and grew the company. And in 2015, the second generation took over, our current CEO, global CEO, Mustafa Yiğit Zeren. And with his takeover, let's say, he started to incorporate a more global vision into the company. And then we started expanding for other countries. Currently, we have operations in United Kingdom, in Netherlands, in Montenegro here, in Turkey as well, and in Dubai. So all of this global expansion happened after 2015 with the added vision of our new CEO. And he pays special attention to Montenegro these days, especially because he really likes the country since the time he came first here. And now with me on board and our team here growing, we are going to be investing a lot more in Montenegro as well.
That's nice. Can you tell me now, because he likes Montenegro, is the thing that made him open the company here and expand his business, or there was some other?
No, of course not. The company that size doesn't make investments just for the whim of the CEO, but he, in his travels here and throughout his exposure to the information related to Montenegro in various organizations, he understood that there's a lot of potential in the country in almost every sector that you can think of. When you're coming from a country like Turkey, let's say 80, 90 million people, very established companies all around, it's harder to compete in an existing field. But here, even by bringing our existing experience from these sectors, we can make a difference because there's a lot of opportunities in without even having to do some innovative new field in the existing fields, you can still make a difference. He saw this gap and he said we should take a part in the business circle here. We should become a, let's say, big company in this country, so that in the future, when the bigger investors are even more attracted to this country, we already are established and functioning very well here. So that was the vision. He sees more in the future of this country than, let's say, the current state, and he's investing in the future. We are now, like I said, expanding the company, the operations, and increasing our headcount here, the amount of personnel we have. All of this is to build for the future investments. Nowadays, our investments are not too big on the scale of, let's say, numbers here, but all of this is because we wanted to first have a stable company structure built here and then move in with the bigger investments. And now we are in that second phase, in the beginning of that second phase, and later on we'll talk about those investments as well, but good things are coming.
It is very nice to hear that our country is attracted by the so big investors like Zeren Group. Let's now shift gear a bit. Let's talk about the personal side of the things. How was your personal connection or background, especially with Mr. Mustafa Yiğit Zeren, and how it played in your professional journey and decision to move here to Montenegro?
Yeah, well, with him and I, there's a special connection because we are friends since our university times. And in the first year of the university, we met and became friends through other common friends. And after school, a lot of our mutual friends went different ways. I also went through the corporate circle, let's say. I worked in big corporate companies in Turkey, in telecommunications sector, in FMCG. And throughout my time in the FMCG, I had to consult him about certain stuff related to company structures because of his experience with accounting and audit also. And we reconnected through that. And then later on, as time went by, we started again hanging out, let's say, more and more. And he mentioned me his idea of Montenegro, expanding also to Montenegro. At that time, he already had UK and Netherlands companies established. And in Montenegro, he had a very skeleton crew, but he wasn't satisfied with the size of it. He wanted to expand, but he didn't have the, let's say, direct contact that he could trust to, let's say, give the keys of the company and just lay back and see what happens. So he mentioned that to me. He said, like, I trust you. I know you for a long time, and I know that you are capable. Would you like to take on this challenge? And it was nothing like I did before, honestly, because other companies that I worked for, I was part of teams. I wasn't in charge of the whole company. At the last step, I was a team leader, etc. But it wasn't like running a whole company, considering the financial side, the technology side, the opportunities, the business. My area was more on IT side. In my background, I'm also graduated from computer science, so I was more one-sided before that, and he convinced me that I could do it. So I said, okay, let's see it. Then I told him, okay, but I need to first see the country because I have never visited Montenegro yet at that time. And he said, sure, go there, stay a week, see how it is. Look out for opportunities that you can see as a foreigner, first time visitor, because that's very important when you go to a new place. The first few days are the times that you see what's different from where you're coming from and this country that you're visiting. And he told me to use that time very effectively, keep my eye open, keep my ears open to see what can be done, what's missing, what can we do. And in that trip, after that trip, I presented him various opportunities, more on IT side because of my past at that time. And we decided to pursue some of those. Then I came a second time, more this time with the intention to stay, because I was looking at housing, I was looking at where is it better to be located. Our offices are in Capital Plaza, so I was looking around the space, trying to figure out the city even more. And I found a place, I made the contract, then went back to Turkey to wrap up my business over there. And after a while, I moved here. And that was it really. Like, I liked the city a lot. I brought my girlfriend with me also. She liked the city a lot too. After Istanbul, as you might know, is a very crowded city. It was very calm, very organized, and that's what I liked. And adjusting to the, let's say, social life, I realized wouldn't be a problem. So I focused more on business side. What can we do here? With that, one of my proposals was more favorable, so we started working on that, and things escalated from there, let's say.
That is very nice. Thank you so much. Any interesting stories from your past that hinted at the business partnership that we see with Mustafa, Mr. Mustafa?
With him, like I said, we met in the first year of college, and even our story of how we first met is like, let's say, foreshadowing for what's to come in business sense, because he also, throughout college, he was half the time he was actually working in the company of Zeren Group, and his father was preparing him to take over the company after his graduation. But throughout the college time, the times that a normal college student would maybe, I don't know, go on parties and play video games, etc., he was going back to the office, working and coming back. So the first time he came, he actually came to me with a request of finding a supplier for a certain product that one of his connections was looking for, and that's how we met, like literally for business. He told me, I don't remember, it was, I think, cement at the time, because there was a construction company that was working closely with them and they were looking for cement suppliers. So he gave me some specifications of, I don't know, Portland cement of this density and that. I don't even remember now. And he told me, like, can you find, do you think? If you find, I'll give you a cut for it. Then I realized, okay, this kid is different. Like from college times, you might remember, like, that's not some normal thing you would expect from a friend. But his first almost words to me being that, I realized, okay, this is not a normal kid, this is something else. Then, of course, we bonded over other stuff as well, but there was always this business component in his life. And because it was in his life, I also was kind of exposed to it in our friendship circle. So I realized, okay, yeah, this kid will take over the company one day and hopefully he will grow it. And after a while, after graduation, after he went to London School of Economics and came back and took over the company, I realized he was actually fulfilling his destiny. So that was very nice to see. So that was what I always tell when I talk about how we met and how we ended up here with him, because that really is showing how the beginning can give you the indication of how it's going to go on afterwards.
Thank you. Let's take a broader view. Can you provide us insight into how the different branches of your company work together globally? How do they complement each other, and what roles do each location play in the overall success of the Zeren Group?
Well, with us, actually, the sectors that we are working on right now in every country is very different from each other. But what they have in common is the company culture. We want to always have first start with a foothold, with a small office if needed, with a skeleton crew, grow from there and see what we can bring from our experience in Turkey to this new country. There's always different synergies you can explore. There's always different opportunities in every country that has a gap that you, just being from this country of your origin, can fulfill. Like in Turkey, we had some experience in energy. In Netherlands, they not in the same kind of energy, but they started investing in solar energy, for example. In Turkey, there was a time that the company ran some hospitality establishments, beach bars, restaurants, etc. And in London, they also opened up 2 restaurants to start with, to later expand it to different sectors. Then in Montenegro, we are actually doing something we never did currently. We have the Zeren Motors company here. Why? Because we realized at the time that I arrived that the laws and the regulations of importing these cars into the country was easy to understand for us, because in Turkey the import of second-hand vehicles is forbidden fully. You can't, unless it's some special circumstance, like a foreign resident is coming back for Turkey to live in Turkey permanently. And here we realized that's actually a sector, and we saw along the way in the Podgorica region, there's a lot of these establishments selling cars. We realized, okay, let's explore that. Let's see how things work. Let's do a little proof of concept, import a few cars just for us to use at least, and see how it goes. Then we ended up actually building a business out of it. So there are certain stuff that we bring from our history, from our past in Turkey and other countries to the new country. But sometimes, like in the case of Montenegro, we can very well just do something we never did before. But for that to happen, we really spend some time to understand everything fully, because when you're doing something new, there's always stuff you can miss, regulations that are ambiguous, and you might end up with a potential problem in your hands. So not to have that, we did a very good due diligence and realized, okay, this is a good potential. We ran the numbers and saw that it can be profitable when done right. And we realized, let's say, this sector, this car sales sector here is working in a level, but we can increase it one more level higher. So that's what we did. We now, like I said, have UK, Netherlands, Montenegro, Dubai, Turkey. Almost all of them are doing something different because of the, let's say, the opportunities we saw in the country, not because of our expertise specifically in one field. That's our approach. We go with a wider vision. We see where there is opportunity and we try to take it.
What are the other opportunities that you have seen in Montenegro?
Right now in Montenegro, actually, like I said, there are many. In Montenegro, I think maybe not in any of the other countries, but specifically in Montenegro, we are at a point where we have more ideas than we have the manpower, let's say, or the time to do it. Because wherever we look at this point, even still after about 1 year and 2 months that I'm here, I still see different opportunities everywhere. Coming from IT, like I said, I saw a lot of opportunities in IT. We didn't realize those. We prioritize other investments, but I still have my idea of bringing a IT-related, let's say, product into this country. I can't disclose now because of the nature of the field. It's very easily, let's say, imitated, but there are many. Right now, after the motors establishment is completed, Zeren Motors is running on its own with a proper crew and personnel in place. Now we got a mandate from, let's say, our group for incorporation of a bank here. That is something that is a mix of both opportunity that the country presents and our strategic goals, because at the same time of this incorporation of the bank here, we are also now acquiring an existing bank in Turkey, which is around 75 million euros investment, just the bank alone. And we want to have different countries join in this banking group, starting with Montenegro, hopefully later with UK as well, to create this network of banks all across Europe and hopefully maybe even Middle East in Dubai as well. And that will strengthen our hand in all of the countries that we operate in. Plus, it will give us more opportunity to invest bigger amounts into the countries. So that's now number one priority for me. I'm helping out with a lot of the day-to-day tasks of finding connections and locations, etc. for this bank. All the groundwork that needs to be done in Montenegro, I am doing myself. We have our banking group president residing in Istanbul, Ms. Yasemin Altunbaş, and she frequently comes to Montenegro for this project. We meet with central bank authorities, the finance ministry. We have a consultant team of from Ernst & Young in Serbia that we regularly meet over video calls and a few times in person as well. So there's a big team working on that. That's now my number one priority. Other than that, there is I think for anyone that circled around this Montenegrin business area, that is obvious, is the tourism sector. We are also keeping an eye out, let's say, for potential investments there. Hopefully, first starting with Podgorica and later expanding to the coastline, because our idea is to, for whatever we are going to be bringing into this country, whichever investment we are going to be doing, we want to start in the capital, because that's where we are located and where we want to have the first of everything that we are going to do, and later then expand to either coastline or the north. So now there's the hotel project that we are also keeping in, let's say, the second priority after the bank, and we are visiting some potential collaboration opportunities with different companies and hoping to maybe conclude some deals, if not this year, but early next year.
Thank you so much. Every business journey comes with the challenges. What the obstacles have you encountered in the Montenegro business landscape, and how is the company navigating through them?
Montenegro is a very small country. I mean, I don't have to say that but maybe for the our viewers, let's say, that are not too familiar, but the last data we have estimates the population around 650,000 in total. And that is the number one challenge, let's say, the source of a few different challenges. The one that I highlight most whenever we have a board meeting or let's say an interview or any kind of organization like this, I mentioned the lack of, let's say, not lack of, but the difficulty of finding specialized workforce in different areas. And now we are actually running through this even more than before because of the bank project. It's a highly specialized area where you need people who are specialized in certain aspects of it, as well as some people who are generalists that can manage the teams that are taking care of certain responsibilities. So it's hard. The total workforce specialized in banking sector, let's say, starts diminishing from the total population until you add the finance experience, then you add some level of seniority, you end up with very few select people that you can even consider in your talent pool. And among those, almost all of them are actually employed somewhere. It's not like they're sitting around idle. So it's very hard to invest in these kind of specialized sectors when you're a foreigner in a country of this size. That's the number one challenge, I would say. Everything else is somehow manageable, but the human resource, the workforce challenge is the one that is actually giving us more problems to solve every day.
Is it true that Montenegrins are lazy?
Not really. I mean, depends on who you hire. We were lucky enough, let's say, or fortunate enough to work with a good bunch of people. We are happy with all of them that we added to our team so far. I mean, it's a small country. It's in various sectors. It's a very seasonal country, let's say. But I wouldn't say there is like a general lazy attribute that is attached to these people. Maybe by, let's say, association, maybe by stereotype from outsiders, but inside there are, if you are sure of what you want from them, they deliver. If you are also not very decided on what you are going to do with your investment, if you are confused, then understandably they also will be confused. So that's I think the difference. Some companies, some country, some investors might be coming here just to see what's out there and not have a certain experience in creating a company, etc. Then those people might be lost a bit, and that could transfer into the employees that they have, and that might maybe propagate this stereotype. But in our experience, we didn't find that to be the case.
Thank you. With the experience in both Montenegro and Turkey, what are the key differences and similarities in the business environment that you have noticed, and how the companies adapt to these changes?
Well, the main similarity, I would say, is a lot of the business circle is running around in ran by, let's say, personal connections and dialogue between people rather than, let's say, institutions or companies and their representatives. So again, this may be connected to the size of the country as well, but I mean, looking at Turkey with its size, we are also the same. So it's not actually one-to-one connection. That's definitely one similarity that works in my favor because I come from a culture that is similar to this, and that's how I operate as well. Difference, I would say, Montenegrin people in general, this is not specific to business, but people in general in Montenegro are more direct than Turks, I would say. That's the difference. With Turkey, we tend to either hide or play down certain, let's say, undesirable comments that actually can be necessary to make. But here people are very direct and open. If there's something that is not working for them or it's not correct in their mind, then they come right out and say it. And at first, if you are coming from a culture like mine, you might be intimidated, or you might think that it's some sort of like if the person is being rude to you or something. But that's actually very helpful, because with us, we beat around the bush a lot with this kind of stuff. We, rather than saying something negative, we say 10 different small good things and hide the negative in between. But here it's very easy to get to the point with Montenegrin people. So that translates into the business space as well. Whenever you have an issue with some company, you can just sit down and state it clearly, and they state their reasons clearly, and you squash it in the table. That's something that I like. It's a difference, but something I prefer.
That's interesting. Given your broad experience, what recommendation or insights do you have for improving the business ecosystem in Montenegro, drawing on lessons learned from the successful practices elsewhere?
Well, I would say we are also part of TurkCham, as maybe our viewers know. And one of the projects of TurkCham is actually addressing a challenge that maybe would need good special attention here. There is, if you are going to be making some investment in a production sector, let's say, there is not much organized area where you can just directly go and have certain, let's say, advantages because you're operating in that area. You can be close to your suppliers and maybe your buyers. This organized industrial zone project that we hopefully want to start soon is going to address that. And I would say this is, I think, one of the key points that needs to be improved here. Among other things like infrastructure projects that needs to be completed to allow for bigger investors to come in and invest in bigger factories and manufacturing plants and distribution areas. But for those to happen, there needed to be a stable government in place. Hopefully, currently we have this from what it looks like, and hopefully it'll translate into the resolution of these challenges. In turn, that will bring more bigger investors into the country.
Looking ahead, what can you tell us about the company's vision for the future in Montenegro? Actually, you haven't mentioned the bank and some other investments, but do you have in general?
Our vision here, like I said, is Montenegro presents a lot of opportunities, is still relatively untapped potential when compared to other countries in the region. And throughout, let's say, this European Union accession process, there can be much bigger returns on your investment in the future than you imagined. So this is a very good potential to have in mind, like when you're investing something. It's not only the return you should expect from it in the first year, second year, third year, but on the long run, you will be running a successful, hopefully, company in a potential European Union country. This is an important aspect when you're actually considering an investment here. So I would say that is one of the advantages, and we want to capitalize on that in various sectors, like I said, in banking, in hotelier, in the current investment we have in motors and other potential ones. So we are open. We have this, let's say, mid-term plan of the bank and hotel, but we keep our options open whenever we will see a good potential investment that highlights some return on the first few years, of course, but a more established version of that investment being present in European Union. If that's going to be beneficial for us, then that'll be our focus. So for now, let's say the bank and the hotel will be our mid-term agenda, but the long term is still pending on the, let's say, opportunities we see.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
You're
accepting
welcome.
our invitation, and we hope that we will collaborate even more.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.